All right, Brian, this again, first one did not have any volume. I think this one should work. Big news around the University of Georgia today as Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator, former offensive coordinator, has just been named the new offensive coordinator for the NFL's Baltimore Ravens. And right away, Georgia announced that Mike Bobo has been named his replacement. Obviously, Georgia fans are very familiar with Coach Bobo. Thank you, Middle Georgia Dog Pound. I just fixed it. So appreciate you tuning in. A lot of Georgia fans are very familiar with Coach Mike Bobo, former quarterback at UGA, former offensive coordinator at UGA. Then he went around, did his own thing, head coach at Colorado State, offensive coordinator at Auburn, at South Carolina, and has since been an offensive analyst under Coach Monken and Coach Kirby Smart at Georgia for the past year, I believe. Now he's back at the helm as the offensive coordinator for the Georgia Bulldogs. Instant reactions by the fans, probably as you would expect. A lot of memories as some of the more memorable plays from Coach Bobo's time as the offensive coordinator at UGA. But I think here, setting expectations is probably one of the bigger things that fans need to keep in mind. The season just ended, right? Georgia back to back national champions. Coach Monken taking a lot of interviews with NFL teams consistently. It almost seemed like a foregone conclusion that he probably was going to leave Georgia and take a stab at being an offensive coordinator in the NFL once again. So, Cram, you said it best. Kirby was prepared for this. Why do you think a guy like Coach Bobo has been an offensive analyst? Probably because Kirby knew with Todd Monken and as elite as he's been, what they've been able to create with the talent they have at Georgia, he was going to get other opportunities, whether it was a head coach at a different institution in the NCAA, whether it was going back to the NFL and being an offensive coordinator. You have to be prepared for this type of attrition within your coaching staff. And nobody knows it better than Kirby because he had to deal with it year in and year out while at Alabama, and Nick Saban still has to deal with it. Nick Saban just signed the overwhelming number one recruiting class in the country without an offensive or defensive coordinator. Yet he goes out, makes a surprising hire with Tommy Rees, the Notre Dame coordinator, offensive coordinator now at Alabama, and Kevin Steele has been named the defensive coordinator. Middle Georgia Dog Pound says, I'm fine with whoever Kirby wants. He's earned our trust with two natties, two SEC championships, whatever he wants. I'm going to support him 100%. Look, I would agree here. And I think people need to understand that Coach Bobo had a lot of success in his later years as Georgia's offensive coordinator, averaging 38 to 40 points a game back in the early 2010s. Granted, I was on some of those teams, and there was a lot of talent on those teams. But the talent that Georgia has now in Athens is simply an embarrassment of riches. That's not taking anything away from Todd Monken because what he was able to scheme up and the way he was able to utilize his playmakers against specific teams in the biggest games at the biggest moments clearly separated him from the rest. There is no doubt about that. And I think what's even more important was more of the candidness in which Coach Monken spoke. I talked to a lot of my former teammates in and around the NFL who were around Todd Monken, and they had nothing but great things to say about him. Man, love that guy. What a great dude. You want to be around him. He's a player's coach. Players love to play for him. And it certainly seemed like the guys in Athens did that. They respected him. Stetson spoke very highly of Todd Monken, and oftentimes he would speak about Buster Faulkner, who's now the offensive coordinator at Georgia Tech, kind of being the filter in between Monken and Stetson during a game. Look, the NFL is way different. Okay, I think everybody probably understands why Todd Monken goes back to the NFL. Is he getting a pay raise? I don't really know. You don't really hear too much about how much coordinators make in the NFL. He's the highest paid offensive coordinator in college football, and now he's leaving. From a lifestyle perspective, people, there's really no comparison. There isn't. College coaching is a 24/7, 365-day a year job. In the NFL, it's totally different. Case in point, I talked to a buddy who's an assistant coach for an NFL team. He's been at home hanging with his family. They got knocked out of the first round of the playoffs, and they pretty much had off until after the Super Bowl. They're back in the office today, some staff meetings, getting the schedule set before the combine. Then the combine happens, and you get a little bit of downtime again before the draft. Then the draft happens, you got OTAs, you get some time off before training camp. The NFL is different. Todd Monken had a ton of success at Georgia, back to back national championships. Why wouldn't he want to go for 3? I don't know. Maybe he was posturing for a pay raise and Georgia said, hey, we can pay you X amount. And he's like, you know what? That's not enough for me to stay and have to do the things that I have to do in order to find that success. College coaches, especially those under the regime of Kirby Smart, know one thing. They know what it takes. Okay. And it takes a shitload of work, right? Recruiting nonstop, coaching round the clock, having to entertain alumni and fans, having to go on recruiting visits. It's just different. Okay. So he's reached the mountaintop time and again at Georgia. Now he wants to go back in the NFL and take a stab. What's most interesting, though, is the team that he's going to, the Baltimore Ravens. They don't even know who their quarterback's going to be next year, right? Are they going to franchise tag Lamar Jackson? Is Lamar Jackson going to hit the market? Where would they go in regards to the draft? The Ravens have a lower draft pick. Would they make a move in free agency? Clearly, Todd Monken, as the offensive coordinator, you would think would have some input into which direction the Baltimore Ravens go from a quarterback perspective. But an interesting move, nonetheless. Certainly, you would think that he would go to a place with maybe a little bit more certainty at the offensive key position, that being quarterback. But back to Mike Bobo. I think this is a good hire. I really do. I don't understand the negative sentiments from the fans that are going to point to specific things that happened in a game 10, 12 years ago, or how he was as a head coach at Colorado State, or what he did at Auburn and South Carolina. Auburn and South Carolina don't have half of the offensive talent that Georgia has. What Coach Bobo did as the head coach at Colorado State is completely irrelevant because he's not going to be the head coach at Georgia. He has one job. That's to be the offensive coordinator. I think it's great that he also got a year under Todd Monken, right? Doesn't have to change any of the vernacular in the offense. Doesn't have to change the playbook. The players know exactly what to expect. The best coaches in football, and this goes from the NFL to college football to high school. The best coaches in football adjust their play calling to the athletes and the players that they have. They don't make the players and the athletes that they have adjust to their play calling. Okay, let me say that one more time. The best coaches adjust their play calling and style to the talent that they have on their roster. They don't ask their roster to adjust into the box of their play calling and their style of offense. Coach Bobo is not going to do that. He knows what he has. Okay. I think he's also walking into a really good situation at the quarterback position. Carson Beck seems like he has the inside track right now. We all know that Kirby Smart's going to say, hey, listen, wide open quarterback competition heading into spring practice, heading into camp. May the best man win. You got to help Brock Vandagriff and Gunnar Stockton stay involved. And those guys, for all intents and purposes, are hoping that they will have the chance to beat out Carson Beck and be the starting quarterback for Georgia in 2023. Why would they want to be the starting quarterback? Dude, I want to be the starting quarterback at Georgia. Look at the talent that they have. Look at the offensive line. Look at Brock Bowers coming back. Oscar Delp, he's going to be a big factor. The skill positions, right? The transfer wide receivers who have SEC experience. Like, this is an embarrassment of riches at Georgia on the offensive side of the football. And I have no doubt that Mike Bobo is the right guy to step in and say, we're not going to take a step backwards. It's also a great opportunity for him. You know, if you want a little bit of indication, if you want a little bit of, hey, I'm going to put my thumbprint on this and I'm going to be the play caller and we're going to go back, go undefeated, try to go for a three-peat, that's pretty special. And Coach Bobo now has that opportunity. I think it's really great, too. Consistency, where Georgia's at right now. Has he talked to a guy like Dylan Raiola, right? Coach Bobo is a great recruiter. That all goes into these decisions as well. The timing aspect, it's late, people. I mean, signing day is come and gone. The national championship was a month ago. So this was an opportunity for Kirby, as Sokram said, to be prepared for this type of situation. And the NFL season's so long now. I mean, it's mid-February and the season just ended. So some of that attrition from a coaching staff perspective is just going to happen a little bit later than what it has happened and how it has happened in the past. So that's it, right? Todd Monken out at UGA. Thought he'd probably want to go for the three-peat. I thought, and I was wrong here, I thought life was pretty good for him in Athens. That's not to say that it wasn't. But getting paid $2 million a year, coaching pretty much exclusively 4 and 5 stars, winning way more games than you lose, as Georgia has done in the past 2 seasons. Seemed like a pretty sweet gig. He's an older guy too. I mean, he's not a spry young chicken. We all know that. But the lifestyle and the opportunities in the NFL are different. It's just as simple as that. So best of luck to Coach Monken. Again, all I've ever heard is really good things about him, both from guys that played with him in college, played for him in college, and that played for him in the NFL. And for Coach Mike Bobo, who I know very well, he recruited me way back in the day. He was the offensive coordinator when I was at Georgia in 2007 to 2011. He's awesome. He's got a great family. He loves Georgia. Like, what more would you want? I'm not saying that that's the only thing that matters, but this guy loves Georgia. He's gotten a taste of the success. He's got a ring now, okay? He was the offensive analyst when Georgia won the national championship a year ago. He steps into a great situation. The players will play for him. The players know his style. He is a great recruiter. He vibes very well with Kirby Smart. Those things matter. And I think everything here shows that Georgia was totally prepared for this move. Georgia, UGA Dog Pound, Middle Georgia. We're so much deeper with talent now than Bobo was the OC previously. Bobo is going to be calling video game plays with this offense. I totally agree. Okay. I 100% agree. So a great opportunity for Coach Mike Bobo. And I think Georgia is in good hands. So all the fatalism that you're going to see out there on Twitter, everything that you're going to read on the message boards, just throw it away. That doesn't matter anymore. What happened in 2008 to 2014 doesn't matter anymore. Okay. Look at what he was able to do back then. I think you look at what he has at his availability now, should point to pretty good opportunity for Georgia on the offensive side of the football. So I wanted to jump on here, give my instant reaction. Liam will probably chop some of this up, put it into a YouTube short. We'll cut it up and throw it up onto our social media channels at Punt and Pass on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for subscribing to the Punt and Pass YouTube channel as well. Patrick Silverman, Ravens fan here. Any thoughts on the Monken hire? Seems to be great. Yeah, I just said Todd Monken with NFL experience. I think that was the key here, right? A lot of Georgia fans knew that he was interviewing to go to the NFL, and he kept interviewing, so you thought this might be a possibility. He can do it all. The question that I have is, what's the quarterback situation like for the Ravens next year? That's the biggest thing. Are they going to tag Lamar Jackson? Will they go elsewhere? Will Monken have the opportunity to give his insight on who he thinks he should be the next quarterback? That's the biggest question. But with what he has at his availability, Todd Monken, as he's proven the last 2 years at Georgia, he can draw up and scheme up some pretty awesome stuff. And they threw a ton of points on the board in Athens over the last couple of seasons with him at the helm. Thanks for tuning in, Patrick. That's about it. Lunch break is over for me. Check me out on Twitter, at Drew Butler on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Punt and Pass on Twitter and Instagram, puntandpass.com as well. Thanks for tuning in. Hit me up with any questions. Appreciate everybody listening. I'll put out another podcast episode later on this week as well. Talk to everybody soon. Thanks. Bye.